Welcome to the After the Show movie podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome, Cidtalk. Hello.
Hello.
I have a sore bottom today.
TMI, as the kids would say.
Is that too much?
That's too much. Too much. And just, you can tell him real quick, Louie. This is not the before the after the show discussion. He sprung this on me. I didn't know I was going to tell you about his sore bottom, but tell him why you have a sore bottom.
My bottom is sore from cycling.
And
the day after I do a cycle ride.
Yeah, but what kind of cycle ride did we do? You're cutting out you're killing the headliner here. We rode 20 miles yesterday.
That's true.
And it was beautiful, and it was a perfect temperature and all that.
What we've decided is when we ride in very hot weather, it really kills you really quickly.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've rode like in the 90-degree area, right?
Yeah.
This year.
100.
Yeah.
It was 100.
And it's very humid in Missouri, and it just wears you out. Like after about 10 minutes of cycling, you're like, okay, is it over yet? Well, yesterday was, 75 degrees?
It was perfect.
Yeah, and we went 20 miles and we were still okay. We still had energy. The heat. It's not the heat, it's the humidity that'll kill you. That's what
But other than that, today we had no before the after the show discussion really, other than
this movie.
This movie franchise as it is now.
So it is Saturday, August the 10th. This is After the Show, your movie review podcast. It's a weekly movie review podcast, and you can listen to it every week. That's what weekly means, Cidtalk.
Oh, is it? Thank you.
And on episode 851, we're looking at the movie MaXXXine. It's a 2024 release, out now on streaming, rated R, from our friends at A24. The runtime is 1 hour and 43 minutes, and Cidtalk's going to give you the synopsis of the movie MaXXXine.
A young woman trying to get into mainstream Hollywood, and there are complications that become a bit deadly from her past. And you have to have seen and understand who MaXXXine is to really appreciate.
Yes.
Is that all on the box? Did they put all that on there?
No, I'm going to read you that one now. In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Minx finally gets her big break. But as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. That's reasonable.
Yeah, that's the
and her
elevator.
sinister past is something you would just... It's a good trilogy.
It's the end of a trilogy, let's say.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I enjoyed the trilogy immensely.
Maxine is a fascinating character.
Yeah. Maxine, Cidtalk, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. The end. I like Mia Goth, so she's the lead performer. I really like, as they've written it, what's his name? I keep wanting to call him Eli Roth.
Ty West.
Ty West.
He's a similar kind of guy, actually.
That he abandons any of the preciousness about this character, right? So, spoilers, right? So if you don't want any spoilers and understand anything about this movie or the story of Maxine, then you have to stop this podcast right now, and then you're going to have to go watch the movie X, just the letter X, not X-Men, not
You can
X2.
watch those as well.
You can, but this is what we're talking about here is the one that's just called X. And then watch the movie Pearl, because you'll see why. And then come and watch this one, and then come back and watch the podcast. We'll just sit here and wait. Or you just pause it and then save it later. So Maxine, in a previous movie, in her life in the 70s, this movie set in the 80s. So in the 70s, Maxine was working on like porno movies, but she wasn't in them yet. Her and a band of porn stars and a porn producer, director guy go out to a country farm. Yeah. And they're going to make a porno movie.
They're making The Farmer's Daughter.
Right. They're going to make a porn movie out there. She's just like an assistant, but then, you get to know Maxine pretty quickly. She wants to be a star. And her idea of being a star isn't precious about anything like, I have to be good or I have to be the best. It just is a straight line to that. And so she ends up being in the porn, and then terrible things happen on that farm.
Yes.
And now we are with Maxine 10-ish years later, and she has become a porn star. So she's established there. Now she wants to get into Hollywood movies because we're not wrapping her in woolen cotton, as they say, and making her all like...
You mean cotton wool?
She's not like a rising star, like you'd see in a lot of movies. She is literally focused on, in her mind, being everybody's favorite and looked at and appreciated and in the spotlight. That's all she wants. And there's nothing else to it. So she's willing to, you know what? If you think about it, MaXXXine is the victim. She survives the other movie where everybody dies horribly.
Yeah.
In this one, she gets harassed by creepy people who she basically defends herself against.
Yeah, anytime she uses like violence, it's always to protect herself.
It really is. If you really boil it down, she does not initiate anything that's violent or bad. In fact, she has people she loves and that she's very attached to, you can tell, but kind of in a cold way. And then they are the victims of violence that she has nothing to do with. And so she's focused on being a star, and in the process, she solves a lot of problems along the way, and some of those problems involve violence.
And when she commits those violence things, it's hard to... Is she enjoying it, or...?
I think what she sees when she's about to, for example...
She sees red.
In one scene, Kevin Bacon is giving her shit because he's a creepy private detective. She's had it. She's fed up with him, following her. She puts her keys between her fingers, as women are trained to do. And she literally beats the shit out of the side of his head with keys in her hand. And I don't think she's seeing that she's beating up a man with the keys in her hand.
No.
She sees him as an obstacle between this moment and her becoming a star. And he's distracting her and pissing her off. And it's not about him at all. It's literally like, look, I am telling you, get out of my way. That's it.
Yeah, and the man in the alley that she kills is more
I don't think she killed him.
Well,
she just stomped his balls.
I don't think you survived that.
Yeah, you can. You might bleed a little bit, but you're not dead.
Let's test it.
Oh, you want me to test it? If anyone has a high heel shoe, I can borrow. And Ascully's offering up his...
Testicles.
Have we told them enough about this scene? There's high heels and testicles involved.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
I don't think he died.
It made me wince, that one.
I think in this movie, because we get a lot of news reports in the background and things like that, I think we would have seen a news report saying a man was found dead in an alley, but we didn't get any of that.
Yeah, it's in the background, there's the, what is he called? The
Night Stalker.
Night Stalker.
Like the real Night Stalker is the kind of the running theme behind the real life story that's happening at this time, 1985.
Similar to what like Tarantino did in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He had a real thing going on in the background and then kind of came to a head at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really enjoyed. I like the way this one looks. It's sometimes got like a VHS filter on it or it looks really grimy and odd looking.
Oh, I don't notice that. I just think it looks the lighting is awesome. Yeah. I mean, when it's appropriate, they cut it down to 4:3 to show you little clips of VHS tapes, which looked cool.
The story was surprised. I was surprised you said you wasn't.
I was not.
There's a big reveal at some point.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. You know, sometimes when you're watching a movie and you're like, I'm trying to figure out this, but you're not thinking in the right direction. That was what was happening with me.
Oh, right.
It's the thing where it's right in front of you, but you can't see it. That was what was happening. And then I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. You know, when that part happens. I'm trying not to spoil it, even though we've said spoilers. I won't spoil that part.
No.
It's interesting. So I think it really works well as a trilogy. Would you watch Pearl first and then X and then this, or do you watch it in the order they came out? No, I think that
the way he made them is reasonable. So Pearl is a character who lived before MaXXXine and was similar to MaXXXine. A driven young woman who had in her murderous tendencies. I don't think MaXXXine does. MaXXXine just sees it as a means to an end.
No, Pearl was actually a
psychotic. Yeah.
And MaXXXine has a similar element, but yeah, you're right. Maybe she is. She's got a thing inside her, clearly, right? Because her dad was didn't seem like
well,
a great...
we'll say this part. So it opens with us seeing little Maxine as a little girl in a church tent, and her father is encouraging her to be like a fancy, standing up on the stage and being the star of the church. He even said, you're going to be the star of the church one day.
Yeah.
Kind of like a creepy ick. And then kind of his own maybe failed aspirations. I don't know. You just get that stage dad vibe, and he's trying to tell her, you don't settle for a life you don't deserve, and you're going to be a star one day, young lady. That kind of, but he's like the preacher guy. So we see that. So we know that influence is there.
Like, we know little about her, really. I mean, we know what happened in X. At the end of X, if you remember, I know it's been a while, but at the end of X, you actually do see that on the TV. The dad doing a preaching thing, yeah.
Definitely.
As she's driving away, and then it cuts to it. So we know that, but we don't know... Yeah, it's pretty sparse what you know about her. Even after seeing the whole of the movie X, when you come into this movie, all you really know is that she's very driven to be a good actress. Not that she's just very driven. She actually is a good actress.
Yes, I don't think her goal is to be a good actress.
Well, to be a star.
That's her, a means to an end.
But she is a good actress. She's not just like somebody who's never going to make it. She actually is committed and very good at it.
Yes.
Because we see her deliver at the beginning of this movie. She's going to a rehearsal. And as she says in her own words, I nailed that.
Yes.
She gives it to the camera.
All y'all bitches can go home because I nailed that.
Yeah.
And if you can't tell, she has a southern accent.
Even though Mia Goth's a very well-spoken British lady. She really... I don't ever remember that she's a British lady when I'm watching her play MaXXXine.
No, she's good.
They're going to make another X movie of some kind, but this is really... I feel like this is a good trilogy. Like, it really does... It's an interesting trilogy because it starts with one character and ends with another. And the middle one is both the characters. You don't normally see that. You normally see, like, you follow one person all the way through. Or I know there's similar people. The thing we didn't like about the original movie X was the old person makeup. Remember?
Yeah, it was a little bit.
But now I might feel a bit different about it. I might be like, well, okay. Mia Goth can only look so... You have to put a lot of makeup on her to make her look old, right? She's not old.
True.
Can you do better? Or was it just maybe he wanted it to be a bit shitty because he was going for that grimy movie kind of thing? Who knows? The level of horror in this one was a little less, I thought, than the others. But it didn't bother me. I was like, is this going to be like a blood-soaked finale or whatever? But it's more of a thriller or a detective thing, isn't it? Than
Definitely.
A horror movie. Which is good because we've already had a horror movie. X is literally like a slasher movie. And Pearl is what? Pearl is... Pearl's just like more of a character study of somebody becoming unhinged as they go through it.
Yeah, I mean, and they do make a lot of references because the person who made these movies is like a cinephile, as they say, right? Totally into movies and horror movies. And so you definitely get the vibe of like Norman Bates as like this character you never really existed. I don't know. I haven't seen every movie from before the, Psycho, but the study of a person who like the psychology of what they're doing, why they're doing it is more exciting and interesting than what they're doing. So a person who, like Norman Bates, raised by a demonstrative evil mother, basically. I mean, she was awful, right? And then even though she's gone, spoiler alert, he continues being like haunted by her. And the psychology of that person is actually more interesting than the fact that he murders people at his little motel, I think. So that's the same with her. Like Pearl, you don't even really figure out why she just is psychotic.
Yeah.
And then what happens to keep her on this role of doing really horrible things?
The similarity, between Pearl and MaXXXine is that they'll do what they have to do to get where they need to be, right?
Right. And the difference is that Pearl was frustrated because she did not become a famous Hollywood person. And MaXXXine is just completely determined to be famous and important.
talking about Norman Bates, this movie even visits the Psycho house at one point, which
I like that.
Because it's played around the movie industry, and there's a movie being made, so it's on a backlot, and there's things that you might recognize, including the Psycho house, which I did. What that lady was saying in the little golf cart outside the Psycho house was really good. Like, it was like, there was definitely some, I'm talking about Hollywood right now. Like, even today,
absolutely.
It's this,
Absolutely.
a machine that will chew you up, and, you've got to really try hard to do something different, is what she was saying, wasn't it? Like, instead of anything that will upset them is not easy to pull off, which talks about this movie as well. So,
true.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So let's get on to the cast. Mia Goth plays MaXXXine Minx. Mia Goth is excellent. I will follow her anywhere now, into any movie what she's in, to see what she's up to. Yeah, she's really, really good. I mean, she pulls off this difficult character, I think. I think Pearl's also a difficult character. That sequence at the end of Pearl that she delivers, where she just looks at the camera and delivers some...
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, that's it's worth seeing this trilogy just for that. It's so good. You like her, Mia?
Oh, she's my favorite thing. She's just look-attable. Is that a combination of words turning it into one big word? Look-attable.
Are you saying she's a star?
She melts into whatever the thing is, like if it's a moment where something happened in front, like when one of her friends in this movie, someone is targeting her friends to make a point to her, right?
Right.
And her absorbing that this is happening, it's very subtle because she's being told. And then at one point she sees one of her friends and it strips away all the MaXXXine stuff, all the pile of murderous stuff and the crazy past. And she's just gutturally, primally pissed off and sad. And then she snaps right back into like, okay, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And here we go. Like that kind of instant, just like she does. So it's like layered. So she's Mia Goth. She's being MaXXXine. Then she's asked to do a scene in the movie to try to be in a movie. Yeah. So then she's being MaXXXine, being another character, going from, it was just really good. I just really liked watching her.
Elizabeth Debicki plays Elizabeth Bender. She's the lady who's making the movie The Puritan 2.
Yeah. I like her. What else have we seen her in?
Is it Game of Thrones? I was looking at her going, I've seen her before. She looks like she's from Game of Thrones.
Why?
She's like one of the people in King's Landing in the original.
Is she?
Yeah, probably not, but that's who I think she is.
That's what I see.
We've got Halsey, the singer Halsey, as Tabby Martin. She's not in it very long.
She's not in it much, but she does a good job.
Weirdly, you meet her, and that's pretty much all you see of her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when said things happens to her, you're like, oh shit, that's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a friend of hers. Like
yes,
and you don't barely know her. It's strange. Kevin Bacon plays John Labatt. He plays a real asshole.
Plays an asshole, and he's creepy, and he does that well.
Yeah. He's a real pain in the ass, and like when he's talking to her in that restaurant, the first time he meets her, I'm like, I just hope somebody kills this guy because I can't deal with him. He's just full of himself. He's not checking what he's saying to people. He's just terrible.
And he knows what's going on, and still he's letting it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, he just wants the money. He's like, I'm getting a paycheck. I don't care what happens. Yeah. But yeah.
He's creep.
Yeah.
But he does a good job.
We've got Giancarlo Esposito as Teddy Knight. That's the chicken man from Breaking Bad, if you don't all know. We've seen him in many things, but that's what I always remember him from. What do you think of him here?
He was fine. I mean, he's her agent, her entertainment lawyer and agent. And while he turned out to be pretty menacing, he doesn't come off that way. So I'd like him to be a little more.
The fact that he's like got a weird like wiggy hairstyle and stuff.
That was disturbing.
He comes across kind of like a comedy character.
Yes.
Like I can't take it seriously. It's just funny looking.
I thought that because if you've never seen him before, maybe you wouldn't see that, right?
Right. Because the first thing you think is, oh, look at that wig. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Sadly.
Yeah. And I get it was like the kind of guy he was supposed to be, but the wig was funny. Michelle Moynihan plays Detective Williams. I said to you, where the hell's she been? I feel I can't remember the last time I saw her in anything, but she's here. I think everybody in this movie, it's all a very small part, right? They're not in it much.
True.
Apart from MaXXXine. So you'll see her and she'll be a pivotal part of the plot or whatever, but you might have seen her 5 minutes tops in the whole movie. That's not bad. And she is great, right? But it's very limited. And Bobby Cannavale as Detective Torres.
I find him annoying, but you know what I think? Everything about that. Okay, so he's a cop with Michelle Moynihan. And her conversations with him, because his character says he's a cop, right? But he used to be an actor. And then he comes off really obnoxious and toxically masculine. And she even says to him, okay, enough of the macho bullshit. He's like, oh, I thought I did a good job. I think they're actually talking about him. Because that's how that actor person, he always comes off like that to me. Like over the top, unnecessarily old school macho ickiness.
Like a mafia character.
Yeah, but and like a little bit bullish and he gets too close to people.
The first movie we ever saw him in, The Station Agent. He's fantastic in that
he
movie.
was.
Yeah.
Everything else, he kind of turns on some weird... But I think like that conversation she kept having with him but he did a good job of it. It's just that they addressed his actual acting career, I think.
Yeah. Directed by Ty West. He also directed X and Pearl and a movie called House of the Devil. Did you ever see that one?
I doubt it.
It was like a haunted house type movie, but in like a 70s grindhouse style, kind of rough looking.
I don't know. It could have been in one of my years of Halloween movies.
Yeah, it could have been, definitely. It's well renowned. People like it. So that's how he got his name. What do you think of Ty West?
I'm interested always in seeing what he's doing. So that's a good thing.
Me too.
I don't know what else to say about it.
I mean, it's like now when I see the name Mia Goth, I'm like, oh, hold on, my ears prick up. I feel like that about Ty West as well. Like that might be something interesting. I gotta have a look at that. That's good, isn't it? When you make a name for yourself.
Sure.
That's making a name for yourself, like this movie. Like she's trying to make a name for herself. She's already made a name for herself as Mia Goth, twisting it around.
Got it.
All right, IMDB reviews. What are those?
Those are reviews that you find on a website called imdb.com. And if you don't know what that is, it's the Internet Movie Database.com, which means commerce. If you don't know what that means, if you're not old school internet.
It all boils down to commerce.
All boils down to
Always.
commerce. And you like to go on there and find the 1-star reviews of movies that you do or don't like. And then if you do or don't like it, you like to agree or not agree and make fun of the ones you don't agree with. And you make funny voices. And we all enjoy it very much. Continue.
All right. Number one person says, I will not accept a movie I do not deserve. You see what they did?
Yeah, got that.
This is Stranger Things for adults. It is rubbish. I cannot see this as anything but a parody. It's so silly. I guess I expected something similar to the other movies, but this one is terrible.
Stranger Things?
Yeah, I don't know what that...
Have they seen Stranger Things?
It's
what are you
nothing
talking
like
about?
No.
What are you saying?
There's no supernatural elements.
There's no multiple dimensions that I'm aware of. Maybe we watched... Did we watch the wrong movie? Don't understand that one.
No. Maybe it's AI again.
Maybe.
Second guy says, this was an absolutely awful movie from beginning to end. It drives home the point that you can't put any weight on an average star in a movie. He's talking about Mia Goth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's being a dick.
Yeah.
See, I disagree with that one, so I'm going to insult them for having an opinion that is counter to mine.
And the third guy says, what even was the point of this film? It was a complete waste of time. I was wary of watching it because I thought X was very average. I didn't even bother watching Pearl. It looked bad from the trailer. In a way, this one pays homage to gory horror, but it sucks.
Okay. I mean...
That's it.
They're not very well thought out, are they?
No, and often they resort to writing, it sucks, or...
Waste of time.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have the waste of time guy this week.
We did not.
He must be on holiday. He's on holiday. Where does he go, waste of time guy, when he goes on holiday?
Well, how does he actually use his time?
Yeah. What's he doing?
In a productive and wonderful and very, very payoffy kind of way. He's not watching these movies, apparently.
No. He's not wasting his time.
Oh, I know what they're doing. They are writing positive reviews for all the movies they love.
Just in front of a laptop.
Yeah.
Typey, typey, type.
On a beach.
Yeah. In conclusion, this movie called MaXXXine, I'm going to give it a score. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to say 7.8, but 8's high.
Because it was a hot movie.
I'm impressed.
It was
Got it.
stylish. It had cool music. Did we mention the music?
It did have cool 80s music, but we're of the 80s, so
Yeah.
we coming of age of the 80s. That's why we appreciate it.
Any movie that has Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. I love it. There was another movie that had that song. Do you know which one?
Not off the top of my head.
It was Neil Marshall. That one.
Neil Marshall.
Yeah. It was like, oh God, I forget his name.
Oh, my.
It's like Mad Max a little bit. It's the end of the world. They go to a castle at one point. There's zombies in it. It's got everything, a bit of a mix of everything. Doomsday.
Doomsday. Yeah.
That one. That had Frankie Goes to Hollywood in it.
That was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Even though it was wacky. But it felt right.
It was a mishmash of everything.
What it should have been, these days, somebody like Netflix or Amazon needs to buy it and then make a TV show out of it. And every episode is some other wild thing that you find in that post-apocalyptic world.
I really enjoyed it. It was like Mad Max, a zombie movie, a sci-fi movie a little bit. And I don't know, it was like everything. Like everything that we like from like movies, let's throw all that together and see how it works. And it doesn't always work, but it is fun to watch. And it has some cool music. I enjoy it. That was some high scores for MaXXXine this week.
It was.
Next week, we're looking at the movie Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Will that get good reviews? It might from me, because I am partial.
You're partial. You're biased about Furiosa, for sure.
I'm partial to a bit of Mad Max.
You are.
Yeah. So we'll look at that next week. Movie recommendations. Mine are really easy. I'm going to give you Pearl and X. You should watch them before you watch this movie. I don't think you should watch this movie on its own and then start going, what the hell was that? You should watch the rest of it. And also another Mia Goth film, Infinity Pool, which was a bonkers performance from her, especially when she stopped that car in the middle of the road, if you remember.
I can't remember Infinity Pool. I see the poster on your little digital picture frame all the time.
The vampire from True Blood, the Sarsgaard guy.
Okay.
They went to a resort. Something happened. It's sci-fi-ish. They go into that room. It's like they've broke the law and then they have to have something done to them. Remember?
No.
Oh, it's a really cool movie.
Okay, I have to watch it again. I'm sure I've seen it.
Yeah.
I'm
You've definitely seen it.
But I forgot. What a shock.
Yeah.
And my recommendations are me going back to the 20th century, and I don't know what genre these are because I ran out of action adventure. These are just from the list of movies I have seen, not any leaning toward quality. So as I look at this list, I'm saying drama because I have Apt Pupil, which is one of those kind of psycho,
Is it Edward Norton?
He might have been the student, sure.
Right.
I don't remember. A Christmas Carol, which of course is a drama about Ebenezer Scrooge. And then we have Norma Ray, which is definitely a drama. There's nothing else to Norma Ray except drama. The Osterman Weekend, which at the time, I remember watching it on HBO and watching it multiple times. I don't actually remember the whole plot or anything about it, except that at the time it seemed awesome. And I'm afraid if I watch it now, it would not.
What is it? Like a crime thriller?
I don't remember.
That's what it sounds like.
It's like a group of people go out to this place and then some crime, espionage kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, espionage.
Yeah, with what's his face from Coach, and I always forget his name.
Is it like Donald Sutherland?
I don't know if he's in it, but the other guy.
I'm kind of seeing
I know what
him.
vibe you're talking about, but no, it's the other guy.
Right.
You know, the guy from Poltergeist, the dad.
The other guy.
The dad from Poltergeist is the guy in it.
Yes, that guy.
Yes.
Before, after.
Yeah. Of Poltergeist. That's the one that's the part you remember.
Yeah.
I remember this. You didn't move the graves.
Well,
you didn't move the
I like to
bodies.
pull an obscure cut.
You didn't move the bodies.
Before, after.
And then Bonnie and Clyde with, what's their faces?
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, as played by those other people. Also, I don't know that it would hold up, but I mean, at the time, it was,
Fun.
It was fun to
mark.
watch, probably on HBO multiple times, or on VHS, whatever our little town store had in stock.
All right, so Ascully stuff. I've been playing a new game called Creatures of Ava, and it came out this week on Game Pass, and you can also buy it on Steam and all the different consoles. It's like an RPG. You're in this open world, and, the first thing that struck me with it when I loaded it up on my PC is it looks really gorgeous. It's like a cartoon style, and then I was like, why does it look so cool and familiar? I was looking at it for a bit, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's like the style of Fortnite. It's got that really colourful, like Fortnite is popular for a reason. It's really colourful and cool looking, and it just looks cool. Like, it's basic graphics, but there's something about it that makes it look good.
Right.
Well, this game, it looks very much like Fortnite, and then when I started tinkering in the settings, I was like, these settings look a bit like Fortnite settings, so I imagine it's the same engine, right? So it's got this really cool lighting model. Everything's like really shaded, even though everybody's a cartoon. So it looks like a cartoon come to life, like Disney did it or something. But what it is you're this lady, she crash lands onto this planet, and this planet's full of creatures. And the gameplay itself it's a mixture of a bunch of different things. It's puzzles. There's you've got these puzzles to solve. You've got this stick that you find on the ground. It's got this weapon where you can point it at something and float something up in the air. So that would be there's a door. It's got a load of rocks in front of it. You use the weapon to undo the door and get through it. But then it's got puzzles like that. But then the meat of the game is there's loads of creatures on this world. Like you've never seen this world. You crash landed into it. So the world's brand new, and there's creatures, and you've got a camera, which is kind of like a tablet. And one of your aims when you land there and you go into this city, and all the people there are friendly. They're not people. They're all creatures. But they talk to you, and they give you missions to do. And one of them is to go out into the wilderness and take photos of every animal so they can have a catalog of it.
Nice.
It all. So that's a chilled out part of the game. You're not fighting anything. You're just trying to take photos of things. And because it's wildlife, you've got to kind of creep around a bit. You can't just go running into a field and hope that everybody stays there because they're all going to run away. So
right.
Got to figure out how to get photos of different animals. Every time you take a photo of a different animal, it puts it into your Rolodex kind of thing, and then you give it to the people. But then there's that, and then there's also the planet that you're on there's this infection that's going over the planet, and you're trying to solve what is happening to the planet for these people. And hopefully, eventually, they can find a way to get you home because you crash landed in a little spaceship. So it's called Creatures of Ava. It's I would call it a chilled out game because you're not really fighting anything. There is a little bit where you have to later on you get your stick that you can float things with. It actually allows you to mind control some animals, and you can do it to them, and then you can make them do what you want them to do. Sometimes you have to make them fight another animal to get rid of.
That's creepy.
Well, it might be there's a massive dinosaur-looking thing over there that's going to eat me. So I have to get these guys to distract it. So It's not really a fighting or a shooting or any of that. It's more taking photographs in this beautiful-looking world and solving puzzles. There are kind of dungeons that contain artifacts, and to get to them, you have to solve a load of puzzles, like opening doors and figuring out different actual puzzles on the walls and stuff. So it's called Creatures of Ava. It's available now. You can play it free on Game Pass if you've got Xbox Live, or you can just go and buy it on all the different platforms. I got it on Steam on PC, and it really looks gorgeous. Cidtalk, what's for dinner?
I haven't decided. What sounds right?
It says Subway on my docket.
Right. Well, that wasn't updated today. That was from last week.
Ah.
It can be Subway, but I mean, I haven't actually decided.
All right. And what's your advice? And let's get out of here.
My advice is not advice. Are you surprised?
That's the usual.
Just thinking about life and people and relationships and things that happen and how you react or don't react and how we've all kind of always been taught, or maybe not all, I won't lump us all together, but that you're supposed to sort of fake your way through a lot of things, pretend to care when you don't really care just because the other person might feel like you need to pretend like you care, either because of something sad or bad, or even care that you're happy about something that happened in someone's life, that you're chronically taught to fake it just to make other people feel good or better, right? Which is sort of exhausting. It's fine to smile and nod and be nice when in the moment, on a very limited number of things, when the moment just calls for that person needing some not harsh, the world is enough, the things that are happening are enough, I don't need another person giving me shit. Maybe just a smile and a nod and a pat on the back is fine. Even if in your heart, you're kind of like neutral. It's good to make someone not feel shittier, right? So that I can accept.
Yeah.
I am not a naturally compassionate person. It doesn't come naturally to me to be compassionate about everything, everybody's problems. I'm not a stray person. You tell me your sob story and I'm gonna like, yeah, but what happened in the beginning of this story that you did that made this all happen? Right? That's kind of how I approach things. It's just how I am. But when you think about it, all the people you've ever known that even from a distance, if you don't act the right way toward them or react the right way in a situation when they've had a loss or a kid graduates from college and you don't say the right thing or you don't say anything, you don't acknowledge it, or something bad happens and you don't acknowledge it or say sorry because you're just not involved. But their interpretation, because they've known you, you've crossed paths in this life. So you're like characters in the same story. They're kind of writing you now as a villain of sorts. Or if you're the person who does constantly come over and pat them on the back and hug them and cook them dinner and tell them everything will be all right, then you become the hero of their story, right? When I don't really care, I have very specific people in my life that it matters to me that they keep going every day inside their own minds, on their own fuel and their own energy and their own ability to cope, right? And I'm just sort of a extra. You know what I mean? You're kind of blended in the background. You might have said the one thing. You might have passed through and done one little thing that could have helped them become the hero of their own story. You don't need to be the hero of everybody's story. And you're definitely not actually the villain, even if people are writing you that way. And in the end, it is okay to just be like, hey, on this one day, and you told me a thing, and I was there to listen and nodded my head and smiled and patted you on your back and maybe made a comment that made you in that moment take a breath and be like, okay, I can handle this, or thank you for acknowledging that, but without me compromising or like lying to your face about whether I do or don't give a shit, right? That's okay. You can be an invisible person in people's lives. You don't have to be important to everyone. And I don't need to fake being interested and caring so that when we walk away from each other, you're going, gosh, what a great person she is. Like, you could have forgotten about me. That is fine. I can be that person. As we watch a lot of movies and TV shows, there's lots of extras, right? Like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
There's a lot of peasants in the street. If they weren't all there, then it wouldn't be right? You need all the extras in your life. And I'm okay to be that person.
All right. Thank you very much.
So am I your hero or your villain?
Both.
Depends on the day.
Yes.
I can accept that.
So ascully.com, that's the place you can go to get this podcast. You can go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm Ascully, she's Cidtalk. You can also go to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, anywhere that podcasts are available. you'll be able to find this podcast. You can email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Cidtalk, she doesn't want your email. In fact, she doesn't ever want to hear from you, ever. And stay classy, Miss Mia Goth, Miss, I don't know. But I'm there for whatever you do next.
And I'm going to say, think for yourself, or someone is doing it for you.